You are listening to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, and productivity, and a whole lot more. Consider this a vitamin or a supplement for your mind, your heart, and your soul. Wherever you download podcasts, would you mind subscribing to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom? Leave a rating, and more importantly, write a couple of sentences for a review. It would be very, very helpful. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about leaders inspire. If you think about anyone that you consider to be an influential leader in your life, one of the reasons that you would pick whoever it is that you would pick is because they inspired you. They inspired you to be better than you thought you could be. They challenged you. They gave you a beautiful picture of what the future could be. But let's talk again as we continue to talk about leadership these last few episodes. There are those who complain that in our country and in our world there's a dearth of true leaders, and there are a lot of reasons for that. One of the things would be that leadership is just plain old-fashioned hard work. There is nothing easy about it. And some people just thought it would be easy. They see leaders getting standing ovations and people saying nice things, but they've never really had a behind-the-scenes look until they themselves became a leader. Anything that you attempt to do in life takes work. And to be a leader, it takes work. It also takes intentionality. Things don't just lead themselves. They need a leader. And in the absence of a leader, things have a tendency to fray at the edges. So if you're going to be a leader, you not only have to do a lot of work, you have to be intentional. You're going to have to do things on purpose. You're going to have to decide what's important, what do I need to do, and move it along. I think there's a third reason. This is true of whatever you do in life, but certainly in anything where you're leading. And remember, I always tell you, whoever you are and wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you are a leader of something. You lead in your family, you lead in your home, where you work. And if you say, well, there's no place like that I lead, then you need to take leadership of your own life. But it requires sacrifice. If you're going to be a leader, you can't do everything. There are some things you won't be able to do because in order to lead, you have to do these other things. And so one of the reasons that I think it's quite simple why there may in fact be a dearth of leadership in the country is it's just plain old hard work. You've got to be really intentional. You not only have to work, but you have to work intentionally to move the needle. And there's just sacrifice, and not very many people are willing to sacrifice. But whatever you say yes to, you have to say no to some other things. Then I think there's another thing that makes it problematic at times for leaders, and that is if you're leading something, much of the time you are right in the middle of a mess. I don't think anyone told me that when I started out doing what I do in life as an adult. I thought everyone would just like you and everything would go well and everybody would be happy and you'd get a plaque at the end of it and an atta boy or an atta girl and it'd be over. But you're usually in the middle of a mess, and we count on our leaders to help us get through the mess and even help to clean up the mess. And another thing that happens in leadership, the tension can be constant. Wherever you're leading, there can be conflicting views, there can be conflicting ideas of how things need to be done. And if you're the leader, you don't ever get away from that. The tension is constant. That's why you need to exercise. That's why you need friends. That's why you need hobbies. You need to divert yourself. You can't just live in constant tension. But if you're going to be a leader, tension is constant. Everyone is going to be barking in your ear, telling you what you need to do, what needs to happen. It's not only constant, it's just prevalent. When you're a leader, you're just constantly in the middle of it, and it's real. Don't think that what I'm talking about is something I made up and only a few people experience it. At whatever level of life you're leading something, the tension is real. My job title right now, or the position that I feel that God's called me to, is that of a district superintendent. Someone asked me the other day, who doesn't come from where I'm come from or the world that I've lived in, and they said, "What in the world is a district superintendent, and what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm not sure what I do, but it takes more than a day to get a day's work done, I can tell you that." One of my favorite descriptions of what I presently do is I only get called to come and help when the horse has been let out of the barn and the horse is dead, and the barn's been burned to the ground, and then a group of people invite me in and say, "Now it's your fault and you fix this." So by the time I get involved in things, all the easy answers have been tried and found wanting. And so I'm just here to tell you the tension is real. You have to learn how to deal with it. You have to trust God. You have to be intentional. You have to be getting better. You're going to be put in stretching situations where it's going to move you out of your comfort zone, but that's a good place to live. And it's real. There just aren't always easy answers, but we promise to walk through with it. And one of the things, if you're going to be a leader, do not neglect your character. Your leadership character is who you are. As a matter of fact, I tell people, you want to find out the character of a leader, find out how they react and what they do when they're going through a crisis, when there's a problem. The way you lead from problems and the way you lead when you yourself are hurting tells a whole lot about your character, who you are. The thing about character is you can't wait till you need it to start working on it. Character is a lifelong commitment. Your values are a lifelong commitment. And we can say we believe certain things and we can say we're going to conduct ourselves this way. But when you'll find out for sure is when the pressure is on. Who you are is so many times revealed when you're going through a crisis. Simon Sinek, who is one of the leadership gurus, if you haven't read any of his books, you really you owe it to yourself. He says most of us leaders focus on the how or what we do or how we do it and getting the precision and doing that sort of thing. But he makes a very valid and I think interesting point, and that is that people don't buy what you do. They buy into why you do it. I've had people down through the years where I was the pastor of the church that weren't particularly buying into my message or maybe didn't even believe it. But they knew that I believed it. And they knew why I was doing it because I felt that it was a calling. So people don't just buy into what you do or even your decisions. That's why there are times in life that people don't even agree with your decisions. But if they understand why you are doing that and why you believe that's the right thing to do, they'll continue to follow. They'll continue to work with you, even if they don't particularly like the way everything worked out. Let me give you a kind of a final leadership idea, and that is this has helped me immensely, especially when you're going through hard and difficult places that we all go through. And it'd be great if I could say to you today, you only go through it once in a while. You go through it continually. That is, I've always wanted to orient myself with be what you want other people to be. Act like you want other people to act. Behave like you want other people to be. You know, if I want other people to be honest with me, tell me the truth, then I owe it to myself to be honest. If I want other people to be fair with me, then I need to treat them fairly. I need to return that. We all want people to be gracious because there are times we're late, there are times we didn't keep a commitment, there are times when we've let others down and let ourselves down. And we're counting on not only God's grace, but we're counting on folks being gracious to us. Well, if you want people to be gracious to you, are you gracious to other people when they don't show up for an appointment? When they let you down? When they don't do everything the way that you want it? You can't live life without grace, receiving and giving. It is the oil that makes the machinery of life flow a little more smoothly. So if you want others to be gracious with you, you need to be gracious with them. You want other people to be reasonable. There's nothing worse than being in a dialogue or an argument with a person who's just absolutely unreasonable. There have been times when you've been at the hospital or you've been in a restaurant and you can overhear the conversation of a customer, and maybe they have a legitimate point, but what they're saying and yelling is so unreasonable. Do you want people to treat you like that? If you want others to be reasonable with you, then we have to be reasonable as a leader. Now, I think I want other people to be determined. I want them to not be quitters, to keep going, to have some grit and determination. Well, if that's how I expect others to survive and act, that's what I should do. Let me leave you with one more. I want other people to be kind toward me. Well, if you want other people to be kind toward you, should we not also model what it means to be kind? Sometimes these softer edges are not what people automatically think of when they think of leadership, but it is the kind of leader we need to be. Now, are there times when I have to make tough decisions and come down pretty hard on things? Absolutely. But I still want to be kind and gracious and reasonable and fair and honest. And sometimes honesty feels horrible to people if they're on the other end of that. But however you want people to treat you, that's how you need to treat them. It's something about the golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That still works in all of life, and it still works especially in the area of leadership. Take care of your own character. Be the kind of person you were created to be. Treat people in a way that you want to be treated. Hey, thanks for joining me for this podcast, Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom, words on leadership, goal setting, and productivity. Consider it a vitamin or a supplement today for your mind, your heart, and your soul. And wherever you download podcasts, would you mind downloading, even subscribing to Dr. Ron's Words of Wisdom? Would you leave a rating? And even more importantly, so other people can find and discover this podcast, leave a review. I would greatly appreciate it. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Have a great and blessed day and be the leader God created you to be. Thanks for joining us today.